Hello and welcome. My name is Jeremy Hazelwood. This is Fundraisers Unite, and this is the very first monthly training that I will be conducting for you. If you're a part of the online community of Fundraisers Unite, I just want to say thank you. This video is also going to be on YouTube because we're trying to get some traction behind Fundraisers Unite. And if you work for a nonprofit or if you're involved with fundraising, definitely subscribe to these videos because although this is exclusive content to our online community, every now and then I will be releasing a training online on YouTube. And so you can be notified whenever we come out with new trainings. Make sure that you go over to fundraisersunite.com and become a member of our online community. We have a lot of people on there, really from all over the world, South America, Europe, United States. And the whole purpose of this is for us to help make each other better with our fundraising. And the focus is primarily on digital or online fundraising, but we also have instances that will come up where we'll talk about direct mail or other kinds of fundraising. So today, what we're going to talk about is really for brand new nonprofits. If you just started up your nonprofit and maybe you've registered, you've got your 501c3 status in the US, or if you're abroad and you just have everything set up for your nonprofit, then most likely you have a really deep passion for a particular cause. And maybe you know everything about it or you're very interested in it, but maybe you don't really have the tools or the know-how when it comes to marketing or digital fundraising. So today, my training is going to be really targeting you and making sure here are the first few things that you should do in the online space to make sure that your nonprofit is up and running and ready to go, and your branding is in place, and that you're ready to tell the world about who you are. So and there's really steps that we'll have to take with this. And the things that I'm going to talk about today will be, first and foremost, your website and how to establish your website. Second, we'll talk about email. The third item that we'll talk about is social media. And then actually there's going to be a bonus because I'm going to talk about 4 things instead of 3. And I want to talk a little bit about local online directories. So I'll talk about each of these 4 items as we go through it. Let's start out with a website. So the very first thing that you should do, and again, this order is for a reason. You don't want to jump into social media before you have a website or start email before you have a website, because your website is your online home. And the task of getting a website set up from scratch, if you have zero knowledge about how to do this stuff online, can be a little bit daunting. You're not really sure where to go, what website platform you should use. Where do you even go to register your domain name? So some of the things that I'll talk about will be what I've done personally with my clients or even with my own business. And by no means am I endorsing any of these products. I'm not getting paid, because I will talk about different platforms that I've used, but it's not necessarily something that could be the best for you. But I will talk about, if you're starting from zero, here are some tools that you can use in order to help get your presence established in the online space. So the very first thing that you need to do is set up your domain name. So what I've used before is GoDaddy.com. There's several other websites that you can use to register your domain name, HostGator. You can do it through Yahoo. You can do it through Google. There's a lot of different platforms in which you can actually register your domain name. And when you register your domain name, if you have a really long nonprofit name, you will probably want to register a few different domain names. So if it's a really long nonprofit name, .org, that's what you'll want to register. And if you also have an acronym that you go by for your nonprofit, then you'll want to do abcd.org. But again, keep in mind that .org is associated with nonprofits. Now, what I would recommend is that you register .org and .com and possibly .net. There's different domain names, but just for the sake of your branding, you wouldn't necessarily want your brand name or your URL to be confused with other organizations or other people that might want to purchase your domain name. So if you are a .org and your nonprofit starts to get a lot of notoriety and a lot of traffic to it, someone else could come along and purchase the .com URL, which could be confusing to potential donors in the future or people that need your services. So I would recommend that you go ahead and at least buy a .org and a .com of your website. And sometimes it may be difficult because right now there's over 1 billion websites on the World Wide Web. So if you're going to register your domain name, there is a possibility that it may not exist. So you want to play around with a few different options with your domain name. But the key is, if you can keep it shorter, then that's even better, because it's easier for people to remember and it's less for people to type. So first and foremost, you want to establish a domain name, and that's before you even establish a website, because without a domain name, you really don't have a website. So establish that. The cost may vary from $10 a year to $30 a year, depending on where you register it. You can also register it for multiple years at a time. So if you want to register it for the next 10 years, that's typically an option when you register your domain name. So for right now, just think about domain name first and foremost. After you set up your domain name, what you'll want to do is 2 important items, which are set up your account with Google Analytics and set up your account with Google Search Console. Google Analytics, once you set it up, it will actually provide you with a number that starts with UA dash, and it'll be a series of numbers after that. But just to show you where you go, it's analytics.google.com. And it's really easy to set up. This will walk you right through it. And start analyzing your site's traffic in 3 steps. And this is so important, because if you don't have analytics on your account, then you won't really be able to see where people are going on your site, how much time people are spending on your site, and comparing the behavior of people on your site month over month, year over year. And this is all insightful information when you're doing your online marketing and fundraising. You'll walk through, click on sign up. It will walk you through how to get everything set up for Google Analytics. And again, it will give you a number that starts with UA dash in a series of numbers. And that's a number that you're going to want to copy and paste into another document that would keep track maybe of your usernames and passwords. And it's something that I actually have provided a template for within the Fundraisers Unite platform. So once you get Google Analytics set up, you'll want to set up Google Search Console. Which is search.google.com. And what Google Search Console will do, will allow you to link your website as well to help identify keywords that people are searching for, or where you're ranking in terms of your nonprofit. So if you have a food pantry, for example, and people in your area are typing in food pantry, it will let you know roughly where you are showing up in Google search rankings. And this is very insightful as well if you're ever doing any kind of online ads through Google down the road, because you can look at this search console data and help with some of your keyword strategies, or even some of the wording that you might use, the copy within the ads for Google. So you want to get these 2 items set up. Now, once these are set up, you would go to like squarespace.com, and I'll use this specifically because I've used Squarespace before. Again, it's not by any means an endorsement for Squarespace, because there's a lot of other different platforms available out there, but what I will use is Squarespace. So as you walk through Squarespace, I've already kind of cheated a little bit and set up a small little account here, but what you'll do is go to Get Started, and it will walk you through different templates that you might want to use. So what you want to do is click on Get Started, and it will pull up this window. Here we go. All right, so what's the goal for your site? Say fundraising. Continue. And start by answering a few questions, or start by browsing templates. And I would say let's answer a few questions here. What homepage layout do you want? Now, you see over here on the left, it has the what I call maybe a wireframe for it, and over here is a scrollable version of the website. And based on these templates that are available, I would say this template is probably most nonprofit friendly, because it has a big hero image up here. That's what this area is called, with the call to action. So imagine you have a nonprofit, you have a really powerful image here, and then a button that says donate now. But also what I like about this template is you have an area for additional copy with a headline here. You have an area for images if you want to have an image for your volunteering or events or something like that. You have another area for images and more copy. And once you actually get into the platform of Squarespace, you can edit these items. One of the limitations that you'll run into with a lot of these out-of-the-box solutions like a Squarespace or a Wix is you might be limited on the fonts you can use. So if you have a font that's particular to your brand, it may not be available. So you can see over here there's really 4 different options that it has. And we'll just go with clean for the sake of doing this. and then choose your pages. As a nonprofit, there's a few pages that you'll definitely want to have. You see over here, you have an about page, a blog, because you're going to want to let your donors and community know what your nonprofit has been up to. So a blog will be really important. Contact us, of course, is going to be very important because there may be people that want to know how to get services or how they can help or how they can volunteer. If you have events for your nonprofit, this may be something that you would want as well. Frequently asked questions, I believe, would be very important because what I know is that a lot of donors will want to know how much of their dollar is actually going to services and not administration. And this could be a very important determining factor for someone who is going to give your nonprofit money. There's also gallery, which is images. So if you have a reason to put images here, whether it's an event that you had or you want to show more of your work in the community, or if you're a health-based organization, it could show some of the research that you've done. This could be a good opportunity for you to do that. If you have multiple locations, you could use locations. And over here, maybe team, if people want to know the leadership and what the roles and responsibilities are of people in your nonprofit, maybe you could put team there. And that's probably it for now. Choose images. I would not personally recommend that you choose images that are recommended by any of these online platforms. You would want to use your own images if at all possible. I would come up here and you see this, skip this step, and then it puts it all together. Your site is taking shape, start editing. I'm not going to go into each and every part of this because there is a lot to it and it could still be a little overwhelming. But even though you may not have done this before, what I'm hoping to show you right now is something that will at least ease your anxiety a little bit about building a brand new website. Because a lot of this is plug and play. You can edit images, you can edit text. But what I want to show you are some of the basics that you'll really want to understand. The best way for you to learn about it is really just to get into the tool and play around with it and create what it is that you feel is going to be best for your organization. You may not know what that is, but at a bare minimum, just get in there, play around with images, play around with some of the copy on the website. And as you grow within the Fundraisers Unite community, you'll actually probably get ideas and you'll want to change different things on your website anyway. This should be an iterative process, meaning that once you get your website set up, like that shouldn't be it. Like you should always review, like even if it's once a month, go back and review your website, have different goals for your website, and make little changes here and there. Okay, so now that we're back in, the page is part of Squarespace, and again, most of the web platforms have a very similar kind of feel. So if you understand where things are that I'm showing you on this video within Squarespace, then you should be able to find it a little bit easier if you're not using Squarespace, if you're using another kind of platform. I'll just click on these and go through them a little bit. So on pages, you see it's set out more like an outline. So home is your home page, and these sections here are, or the sub menus rather, are the different sections. You can see here, share your vision, which would take you to where you can actually edit this top part of the web page. Describe what you're here about, and you can actually edit this. And if you click on edit, you can edit all of this copy in here. So I won't go through the rest of that. The blog, this takes you to the blog area of the page. And this says this page is an example. You can either copy it and add your own content or remove it. For the sake of simplicity, I would just copy this page. That way you actually have a template and a framework to work from. And once you do that, you'll be able to actually edit these images. These are the titles of the post. These are, little excerpts from the post. It will walk you through how to do all of this. But again, you're not having to build this from scratch or know anything about coding. Let's go back to home. Design is where you would be able to click on logo and title and add the logo for your business or your nonprofit rather. And if you have a tagline for your nonprofit, you can add it there as well. Let's see. That's all I want to show you from here right now because I really do want to keep it basic and not overwhelm you with a lot. Once you get in this tool, you can click around through these different options and see what it's all about. Commerce, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but one of the important things on here will be payments. Squarespace accepts Stripe and PayPal, so you want to make sure that you set up an account with Stripe and or PayPal so that if people make a donation through your site, they're able to do that and they can use their credit cards in order to make that donation to your website. Marketing piece, and this is really important. Let's talk more specifically about SEO. This is search engine optimization. This is an area that you'll want to pay attention to, not just on Squarespace, but if you're using WordPress or Wix or another site like that. The SEO piece is what Google and Yahoo see whenever people are searching for information online. If you are a food pantry, for example, and someone is searching for a local food pantry, Google and Yahoo, they will skim the universe of websites, and they'll find the websites that they believe are most relevant for what you're looking for or what the user is looking for. And so the SEO piece, and I'll click on this, it actually allows you to edit your site title and a description of your website. And so you'll be able to do this, like you see, enter a description here. And for each page of your website, you'll want a description of that particular page. This is something that you do not want to overlook. Every single page of your website, write a description about that page, because that lets the Googles of the world know a little bit more about what your web page or website has to offer and how relevant it is for people who are looking for it. So do not skimp on the SEO piece of your website. We talked a little bit about Google Search Console a little while ago. If you click on this Google Search keywords, you can actually connect your Google Search Console account to your Squarespace account. And again, this is a function that should be available with other website platforms. All right, so let's go back to home. Analytics, you'll be able to connect your Google Analytics to this part of your website. And then there's settings. So you can put your business information in here, your social links, which at this point, again, we're starting with your website, so we haven't set up social media accounts yet. But once you set up your social media accounts, you would go back here and add the links to each of your social media accounts. Okay, so this is really just a basic. I wanted to just jump into the platform and show you how this works. One thing I'll show you just real quick to hopefully ease some of your anxiety a little bit. I'll go back to the home, because this is a page that already exists. If you wanted to add another page to it, you just click on this plus sign and you can create a brand new page. But right now we're going to go with the template that's here. This is the hero part of the home page. I will click on edit just to show you how easy this is. On this call to action button, you can edit this call to action. It will pop up this box here, and you can put donate now. And underneath that, the click-through URL, which means when someone hits this button, where do you want them to go? You'll want them to go to a donation page. Now, we haven't set up a donation page yet, but when you do set up, you can go back to that menu where you hit the plus sign to add a new page. And at the end of that page, you'll want it to be whatever your nonprofit is, .org/donate. So right here on the click-through URL, you would do /donate, and make sure that when you set up that donation page that it is called /donate. And all right, so we will save this, and let's see if we can do something like that real quick. Let's do create a new page. We'll just do blank. Okay, so here, see new page. And page settings, page title, we'll put donate, and you see the URL slug. This means once it's whatever .org/ and this is where we put donate. Enable page, yes, we want it enabled. Navigation title, we want the title of this page to be donate. There's not a need to password protect it. Where it says add description, this is great for your SEO. Donate to nonprofit. I cannot type today. Oh my goodness. .org to help fund medical research for people in X country. Blah blah blah. Okay, you can set this as a home page, which I wouldn't recommend setting your donation page as a home page. And then that's it. Click it, save, and you have a donation page that you can actually go back to once you're on the donation page. Really cool thing about this is you can actually edit, and you can start adding different things to it. You can add text here, you can add a block, and when you add a block, it allows you the ability to add text or images if you have a video. These would probably be the main things that you would add: text, image, video. There's a place on here, I'm sure, to add a field. You can add a button here. Yeah, so you can add a form. This will be handy for contact us. And typically also with PayPal, they will provide you with a code that you can actually put into your donation page that will allow you to accept those donations directly onto your website. That's all I'm going to show you now, because there are a few other items that I wanted to go through with this initial training. So the next thing I want to talk about, moving beyond websites. So I guess to summarize it, the things that you definitely want to do: register your domain name, set up Google Analytics, set up Google Search Console, and set up a basic site on WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, or there's a few others out there as well. These are just the ones that I'm more familiar with. If you're familiar with one that caters specifically to nonprofit, that is a low to no cost solution, definitely put that down in the comments. These are just some recommendations that I would give you for this time. What you'd be looking at, the cost per year may vary from $200 to $500 a year for a basic website, because you'll want to actually use a premium version of the website. That way you can use your own branding on it and unlock some of the other features that would be available. And for the website piece, this is the only one that I'm actually diving into the tool on, because this seems to be the area that gives people the most anxiety and they feel the most defeated about, because they feel like they can't build a website. So I just wanted to jump in and show you how easy it was. The next item that we'll talk about is email. And what I would recommend for email, if you're just starting out, keep it very simple. Use either MailChimp or Constant Contact. That's very basic. Both of these are very similar platforms. I'm not going to necessarily say which one is better than the other. You can do your research on both of those and decide which one may be the best one for you, but they both have very similar functionality. And the reason that you would start out with one of these two is because you want a way to contact your donors. You may want to send out announcements about what's going on with your nonprofit, but you're also starting from zero. So out the gate, you're not going to have any email subscribers. So one of the things that you'll want to do is, on your website, you'll be able to acquire email addresses, and both Constant Contact and MailChimp have tools that they provide that can link up to your website that will allow you to be able to start accepting and acquiring new email addresses, and you'll be able to start building your email list slowly but surely. And of course, once people donate to your organization, you'll be able to have access to their email information from there as well. But you will want to make sure that you have permission to send them emails in the future, and usually that's done with a checkbox once someone is making a donation, to say, as part of making this donation, would you like to receive communication from us in the future? And people can check that to continue to accept email in the future. One of the things that is really good about MailChimp or Constant Contact, with most email platforms, is the ability to build emails. Those have drag and drop capabilities to design really beautiful templates, similar to what I showed you within Squarespace. Think about doing something like that for email, but it is more simplified than building a website, naturally, because there's not as many things that you need. The functionality is completely different, but nevertheless, you have the ability, even if you don't have any or very minimal background in designing or building emails, it's pretty simple to use. And once you create a template, you can reuse that template over and over. You also have the ability just to send an email out without a template, just a regular email like it came from Outlook or something like that. You also can create lists within these mail platforms. So if you have a donor list, if you have a volunteer list, there's different ways that you can start to segment your audiences and send out different communication in the future. So again, I would jump into either of those. They both have free versions available. So again, I know if you're just starting, money is definitely an issue. You can dive into both of those and determine which one will be the best for you. Both have free options, and both will really do what you need to get done just starting up as a nonprofit. Once you have your website built, your email up and going, you would want to look at social media. Now, this is a place where people say, well, wouldn't I do social media before email? And my preference is you handle the foundation of website and email first, because once you get your social media set up, you're going to be promoting your website on social media. One of the key things that, as part of filling out your social media profile, is what is your website. So if you start with social media and you don't have a website, then you could potentially lose the opportunity to push donors to your website to learn even more about your organization. So you would start with the website on social media. That would also come after email, because on your website, that's a place where you can start to acquire email addresses. So you don't necessarily want to push traffic to your website from social media if you don't have email set up in a way to contact volunteers or donors or community members in the future. So that's why social media would come third when in this checklist of what you would do with your nonprofit starting out. All right, so where do you start with social media? This is a question that I get asked all the time. There's so many different sites. Naturally everybody knows about Facebook, but okay, should we get into Twitter? Should we do Pinterest? Should we do LinkedIn? Should we do Snapchat or TikTok? Like, there's so many ways to start. Like, where do we begin? And what I would say is register your nonprofit, set up an account in every one of these different social media sites. And I say this because what you'll want to do is claim your online real estate in each of these communities. That doesn't mean you have to be active in all of these communities, but what you want to make sure that you do, if at all possible, is that your username is the same across all of these. So if on Facebook it's facebook.com/yourorganization, then Twitter should be twitter.com/yourorganization. So you want to make sure that across all of these accounts that you're using the same name in the branding, because it's very important that people know what to expect. Donors or community people or volunteers, any of your stakeholders, they need that continuity of your brand, and they know how to easily engage with you across your social media channels. So, but I would start with, first and foremost, Facebook. I mean, it really goes without being said. It's the giant of all of them. It also happens to be the only one that has so many different features available for nonprofits. So if you're really going to build one out, build a social media platform out, it would definitely be Facebook as we stand right now today. People say, well, what about Instagram? Instagram is a great platform, but it is focused primarily on images. And you also want to look at the user base. The user base for Instagram may not necessarily be your donor base. If you've gone through my digital fundraising blueprint training, we dug deep into each of these different social media channels, and we talked about the demographics for each of these channels. And by far, Facebook for a traditional donor age audience is where it's at. And your nonprofit may cater to millennials, and if that's the case, then you still want a Facebook platform. You'd still want to build out Facebook platform, but maybe in that case you do focus on or build out Snapchat or Instagram next. But by and large, the donor audience in the US is going to skew older, and so that's why you would want to build out Facebook first. You'd also want to make sure, and this is something that a lot of nonprofits overlook, make sure that you also set up a LinkedIn account, because there may be corporations or local businesses that you want to partner with, and just having a LinkedIn account is really just a best practice. So in any of these accounts that you set up, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube, you want to put as much information in there as you can, even if you're not going to be active on it. And what I say by that is, when you are setting up these accounts, there will be an area for you to put information in your profile. So don't leave your profile image empty or blank. Put your logo in there, and also for continuity purposes, make sure that you're using the same image across all of your social media. Again, that way your stakeholders know what to expect. The general audience knows what to expect, because if you're using logos on 3 sites and then on another site you didn't put an image up and it's blank, people may question whether or not this is really your site. So for the sake of brand affinity and brand credibility, you want to make sure that you put your brand out there and it's consistent across each of your sites. Also, within each of these sites, there will be an area for you to add your website and a description about your business. Different websites have different levels of descriptions or information that you can put for social media. Whatever's available there, complete it to the fullest, because this may also help with your search engine optimization. Because if someone's searching for you on Google, Google may say, okay, they're active on Twitter, they're active on Facebook, they have an account here. So this seems like a more relevant nonprofit for what you're looking for, search engine marketing user. So you want to make sure that you complete a description of your business. If there's an opportunity to put other images within the social media platform, put different images of services that you offer, or maybe the leadership or the community that you serve. If the opportunity is available to link to a donation page, then do that. So fill out as much information as you can across each and every profile. And then the question is, do you go wide or go deep? And if you go wide, that means you're active in all of these different social media accounts, and you have a strategy for all of these different social media accounts. To go deep means we're going to focus on 1 to 3 different social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, for example. And so we're going to focus on these 3, and we're going to be consistent with the content that we publish. Now, starting out as a nonprofit, it seems very ideal to say we are going to be very active on social media. We're going to post 4 times a week on Facebook, and a lot of people have really big hopes, but when it comes into running a nonprofit and actually being able to consistently post on social media, it does become a challenge. And what we thought we were going to be able to do, probably 7 times out of 10, we won't be able to do it. So you will want to organize some of your social media, and these are some other things that we'll get into within Fundraisers Unite. But for now, establish all those accounts. Determine which one of these 1 to 3 that you're going to be more active in, and then we'll just put a pin in it right there, because the whole point of this whole video is to say, what are we doing to establish our online presence? There's other videos I'll do, other blogs I'll write that will say, now we have this set up, here's what we do next. So again, this video, just the basics. Let's just start with establishing these accounts, and we'll talk about strategy, we'll talk about communication, and other videos and other areas of content within Fundraisers Unite. Okay, so we've talked about website, we've talked about email, we've talked about social media. So what's the next thing you should do as a new nonprofit trying to establish your online presence? And the 4th one, and I really consider this a bonus, and this is to establish your nonprofit, which is a business. Establish this in local business directories. And this means setting up an account on Yelp.com, setting it up on Google Places or Google for Businesses. There's other local websites like YP.com, City Search. What I would say is any of these local business directories, Yellow Book, any of these, I would say go ahead and set up your accounts on there. Because what this does is it begins to build authority for your nonprofit, especially if you're a local nonprofit within your community. And so with each of these, similar to like I described with social media, you want to completely fill out all the information that is asked of you within the business description of these online directories. So if it says, do you have a logo? Upload your logo. Do you have pictures? Upload any pictures that you may have. What is the description of your business? Write a complete description of your business. What are your office hours? Complete the office hours. What is your URL? Now, email is the only thing that I would say you may or may not want to do, because a lot of these local business directories will ask you for your email. This can be a little tricky because you will have bots that will scrape the web, and they'll take that email, and you may begin to get a lot of spam in that email. So that's probably the only field that I would recommend that you probably don't want to complete is an email. If people really want to get a hold of you, they can go to your website and complete a contact form, or they can pick up the phone and call you. But everything else you should fill out. Even if it says what forms of payment do you accept, I would put credit card, cash, because the more robust and the more complete your profile is, the more Google and Yahoo will recognize your business as an authority in the nonprofit space. So, and you can look online. One of the key points that I want to make here with all of this, website, email, social media, local business directories, make YouTube your friend. There are so many videos out there, similar to the one you're watching now, that are how-to videos. The purpose of this video is to really like a checklist. Do A, B, C, and D if you're just getting started. There's other videos available that will show you how to go really deep if you're just starting up a local business directory or just registering for a local business directory. Here's how to do it. And so you can find that there's a lot of articles, or maybe like the top 50 business directories, and register in all of those. And a lot of these business directories also will share information. So if you register with one, it might populate your business information with another business directory. But these are 4 different things that you should do to get started. Website, then email, then social media, then local online business directories. And those business directories will most likely also have an option on there for you to put your social media links. And whatever links that you're active in, I would put those on there. All right, so that's how we get started. I covered a whole lot of information here, and I hope I didn't confuse you. I hope everything made sense, but it is a lot to digest in one video. If you have questions, definitely leave it in the comments. Join Fundraisers Unite. Go to fundraisersunite.com. We have an online community of people that are here also to help you. Not just me, but there's people that are like you that may be going through the same struggles as you, or people who are more advanced that have been where you've been. And throw your questions out there, and somebody will answer those questions. So I do thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful, and I hope to see you in Fundraisers Unite. Thank you.